In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. All praise is to Allah, the Lord of all the worlds. Peace and blessings be upon his messenger. This is the detailed story of the first of the great messengers, a man whose name is synonymous with patience and perseverance. Prophet Nuh, peace be upon him. His story is not merely a historical account from a distant past. It is a timeless narrative, filled with profound lessons for every heart that seeks guidance, for every soul that struggles against the tides of disbelief and arrogance. It is a story that lays the very foundation for the concept of prophetic mission, of da'wah, and of the ultimate consequences that await those who choose truth and those who reject it. We begin at the dawn of this monumental struggle, in an age where the light of Tawheed, the oneness of God, had been all but extinguished. After the time of Adam and his immediate descendants, generations pass. The simple, pure monotheism that was their legacy began to be corrupted, slowly and insidiously. The devil, mankind's eternal enemy, worked tirelessly to lead humanity astray. History relates that between Adam and Nuh, there were 10 generations, all of them upon the straight path of Islam, submission to God. But as time went on, the memory of righteous men began to overshadow the worship of the God they served. 5 particularly pious men lived among the people: Wad, Suwa, Yaghuth, 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 and Nasr. When they died, Satan whispered into the hearts of the people, suggesting they should erect statues in their memory to remind them of these righteous figures and inspire them to similar piety. This was the first step into deviation. The people agreed and built these statues in their gathering places. However, another generation came that did not know the original purpose of these statues. Iblis then came to them again and said, "Your forefathers used to worship these statues, and they sought rain through them." And so, the unthinkable happened. The people began to worship these idols, turning away from the worship of Allah, the creator of the heavens and the earth. The world was plunged into the darkness of shirk, the association of partners with God, for the very first time. It was into this environment of profound misguidance that a child was born. He was named Nuh, the son of Lamech, the son of Methuselah. From his youth, he was known for his wisdom, his sincerity, and his upright character. He stood out among his people as a beacon of integrity in a society drowning in heedlessness. And when the darkness reached its peak, Allah, in his infinite mercy, chose Nuh to be the first messenger to all of mankind. The light of revelation descended upon him, a divine commission that would define the rest of his long life. The angel Jibril came to Nuh, peace be upon him, and revealed to him the words of his Lord. He was commanded to stand before his people, to warn them of the severe punishment that awaited them if they continued in their polytheistic ways, and to call them back to the worship of the one true God, without partners, without equals, without offspring. His mission was clear: to eradicate idolatry and re-establish the worship of Allah alone. With a heart full of conviction and compassion, Nuh prepared to deliver the most important message his people would ever hear. The call and the confrontation. Prophet Nuh, upon him be peace, began his mission with clarity and courage. He did not hide his call. He went directly to the people, addressing the core of their corruption. He stood in their councils and gathering places, his voice ringing out with a truth they had long forgotten. "O my people," he declared, "worship Allah. You have no other God besides Him. Indeed, I fear for you the punishment of a tremendous day if you continue upon this path of shirk and disobedience." The message was simple, direct, and revolutionary. It attacked the very foundation of their society, their culture, and their economy, which had become built around the service of these idols. The initial reaction was one of shock and disbelief. Who was this man, Nuh, whom they had known all their lives, to suddenly stand and condemn the ways of their forefathers? They looked at him and saw nothing but a man, like themselves. They could not comprehend the concept of prophethood. The leaders and chieftains of the people, those who held power and privilege in this idolatrous system, were the first to reject him. Their rejection was not based on reason or evidence. It was based on arrogance and a desire to maintain the status quo that benefited them. They launched a campaign of ridicule and mockery against him. They said, "We see you as nothing but a man like ourselves, and we see that no one follows you except the lowest among us, the most gullible and weak-minded, who follow you without thinking. We see nothing that makes you superior to us. In fact, we think you are a liar." This was a multifaceted attack. They attacked his person, denying any distinction of prophethood. They attacked his followers, attempting to shame people away from him by associating his call with the lower classes, and they outright accused him of fabrication. Nuh's response to this was a masterpiece of wisdom and dawah methodology. He did not respond to their insults with insults. Instead, he responded with logic and a poignant reminder of their shared humanity and ultimate accountability. He said to them, "O my people, consider this. If I should be upon a clear proof from my Lord, and he has bestowed upon me a mercy from himself, a revelation and prophethood, which you are blind to and cannot see, should we then force it upon you while you are unwilling and resistant to it?" He was establishing a fundamental principle of Islamic dawah. There is no compulsion in religion. His role was to convey the message clearly, not to force people to believe against their will. He then reminded them of their utter dependence on Allah, a fact their own logic had overlooked. "And O my people," he continued, "I do not ask you for any wealth for this message. My reward is only from Allah, and I am not going to drive away those who have believed. They are destined to meet their Lord, just as you are. But I see that you are a people who are ignorant and acting without knowledge." His arguments were rational and heartfelt, but they fell on deaf ears. The hearts of the disbelievers had been sealed by their own arrogance. They intensified their opposition, moving from mockery to active obstruction. They would place their fingers in their ears to avoid hearing the Quran when it was recited. They would cover their heads with their garments so they would not have to see him or be affected by his presence. They persisted in their arrogance, and their hatred for the truth grew exponentially. Seeing their obstinacy, Nuh changed his approach. He began calling them in public and in private. He would meet with individuals and small groups, hoping to reach their hearts on a more personal level, away from the peer pressure of the crowd. He employed different methodologies, hoping that a different approach might break through their barriers. He advised them, appealing to their worldly desires as a means to lead them to the higher truth. "Ask forgiveness of your Lord. Indeed, he is ever a perpetual forgiver. He will send the sky upon you in abundant rain showers. He will provide you with wealth and children, and will grant you gardens and rivers." He was showing them the tangible blessings that come from obedience to God: sustenance, prosperity, and forgiveness. But the leaders of disbelief would have none of it. They dug in their heels further, appealing to the blind following of tradition. They said, "O Nas, you have argued with us and prolonged the argument. So now bring upon us what you threaten us with, if you are indeed one of the truth." They foolishly challenged the punishment, believing it would never come, believing their gods would protect them. They believed their power and numbers made them invincible. This was the ultimate expression of their hubris, the unwavering faith of the believers and the jur of a prophet. While the chieftains and masses rejected the message, a small group of people did answer the call of Nas. They were, as the disbelievers had scornfully pointed out, from among the weak, the poor, and the marginalized of society. They did not have social status or wealth, but they had something far more valuable: open hearts that recognized the truth. They embraced Tawheed and followed Nas with unwavering faith. They endured immense persecution for their belief. They were mocked in the streets, threatened, and perhaps even physically harmed. Yet, their faith never wavered. They found strength in the truth of the message and the character of their prophet. Their story is an eternal lesson that truth is not measured by the number of its adherents or their worldly status, but by its inherent clarity and its divine source. For century after century, this dynamic continued. Nas called, the weak believed, and the powerful elite rejected. The scholars among the people of knowledge have stated that Nuh remained among his people for 950 years, calling them to Allah. Imagine the scale of this patience, a lifetime of dedication, facing the same rejection, the same mockery, the same arguments, for a period longer than most civilizations last. This is a patience beyond human comprehension, a patience that could only be sustained by divine support. Despite this superhuman effort, the situation did not improve. In fact, it grew worse. The disbelief became more entrenched, and the arrogance of the people grew. Nuh saw that his call was only making them more obstinate. After this immense period, he realized that there was no hope left for these people. Their hearts were completely sealed, and they were destined for punishment. It was at this point that a prophet, who had exhausted every conceivable means of guidance, turned to his Lord in a state of complete submission and need. He made a profound and decisive supplication, a dua that was not born of vengeance, but of a desire for divine justice and the purification of the earth from those who would corrupt it utterly. He called upon his Lord, saying, "My Lord, do not leave upon the earth from among the disbelievers a single inhabitant. Indeed, if you leave them, they will mislead your servants and will not beget except a wicked, disbelieving child." He recognized that the corruption was not just limited to that generation. If they were left, they would spawn generations of disbelief, leading countless more souls astray. His prayer was for the protection of future humanity. Allah, the all-hearing, answered the prayer of his faithful servant. The divine decree was issued. The fate of the people of Nuh was sealed. The construction of the ark, a final test and a final mockery. Allah revealed to Nuh that he should begin constructing a massive ship, an ark. He was to build it under Allah's watchful eye and with his inspiration. This was a command that seemed to defy all logic. Nuh lived inland, in a region with no large body of water. The command itself was a test of faith for the believers and a final point of mockery for the disbelievers. And so, Prophet Nuh, an old man who had spent centuries in dawah, now took up the tools of a carpenter and began to build a gigantic ship on dry land. The disbelievers could not believe their eyes. This confirmed in their minds that he was utterly insane. They would pass by the construction site and ridicule him mercilessly. "Oh Nuh," they would jeer, "you have abandoned prophethood and have become a carpenter. What is this thing you are building? A ship on dry land? Are you preparing for a flood? Where is the water? The sea is far from here." Nuh would respond with a warning that was also a prophecy. "If you ridicule us now, we will ridicule you just as you ridicule, and you are going to know who will get a punishment that will disgrace him, and upon whom will descend an enduring punishment." The construction continued for decades. Some sources say for over 100 years. Throughout this time, the believers worked alongside their prophet, facing the constant mockery and scorn of the entire society. Their faith was being tested to its very limits. They were building a salvation for a calamity they could not yet see, based solely on the command of Allah and the word of his prophet. This is the essence of true faith, to believe in the unseen and to act upon it. Finally, the construction was complete. The massive ark stood on the dry earth, a monument to faith in the face of universal ridicule. Then Allah's command came. The sign for which they had waited so long appeared. The classical commentators describe that the signal was the water beginning to gush forth from a special oven, tanura, that belonged to Nuh's household. It was not an ordinary oven, it was a sign from Allah. When water began to violently overflow from it, Nuh knew the time had come. The command from Allah was clear: load upon it 2 of every kind, a male and a female, and your family, except those against whom the word has already gone forth, and those who have believed. Nuh immediately began to load the ark. He gathered a pair, male and female, of every known species of animal, bird and insect, to preserve life on earth. This in itself was a miracle, as the animals came to him willingly and peacefully, submitting to the command of their Creator. Then he loaded the believers, who were few in number. Finally, he prepared to load his family. The flood, a divine punishment and a lesson for the ages. The heavens opened in a way never seen before or since. Water gushed forth from every crack and fissure in the earth, a violent torrential outpouring from below. At the same time, the skies opened their gates, and rain poured down in a cataclysmic deluge, as if entire oceans were being emptied onto the earth. The dry land was instantly transformed into a raging, violent sea. The water levels rose at a terrifying rate, swallowing everything in its path. The disbelievers, who had been mocking just moments before, were now gripped with sheer terror. They saw the water consuming their homes, their markets, and their places of worship. Their idols were swept away, powerless and useless. In their panic, they ran to the hills and mountains, scrambling to get to high ground, hoping to escape the rising tide. But the water continued to rise, overtaking the hills and submerging the mountains. There was no escape. The punishment they had foolishly challenged had arrived. Meanwhile, the Ark of Nuh, which had been an object of ridicule, now became the only safe haven on the entire planet. It sailed upon the waves, buoyed by the command of Allah, a sanctuary of faith in a world drowned in disbelief. It was a physical manifestation of the axiom that salvation lies only in clinging to the obedience of Allah. Inside the ark, Nuh saw his son. His name was Canaan, or Yam. He was not among the believers. He had rejected his father's message, choosing instead to side with the disbelieving chiefs. As the waters rose, he too ran, but he ran in the opposite direction of salvation. He arrogantly declared that he would seek refuge on a high mountain, believing it would save him from what he thought was a natural disaster. He failed to understand that this was a divine punishment from which there was no earthly refuge. A father's love surged in Nuh's heart. Despite his son's disbelief, he called out to him one last time, his voice filled with desperation and compassion. "Oh, my dear son, come aboard with us. Do not be with the disbelievers." But the son, steeped in his arrogance and rejection, shouted back his refusal. "I will take refuge on a mountain that will protect me from the water." Nuh cried out, "There is no protector today from the command of Allah, except whom he shows mercy." But his words were lost on the young man. At that moment, a massive wave surged between them, sweeping the son away into the churning, violent sea. He was lost to the darkness of the water and the consequences of his own choice. The scene that followed is one of the most profound and heart-wrenching moments in all of the Quran. Nuh, the patient prophet, turned his face to his Lord, his heart breaking. He called out, not in protest, but in a moment of human weakness and paternal love. "My Lord, indeed, my son is of my family, and indeed, your promise is true, for you promised to save my family, and you are the most just of all judges." Allah, the Most High, responded to his prophet, correcting his perspective with gentle yet firm wisdom. "O Nuh, indeed he is not of your family. Indeed, his conduct was not righteous. So do not ask me for that of which you have no knowledge. Indeed, I advise you, lest you be among the ignorant." Allah redefined the meaning of family. True family is not based on bloodline, but on faith and righteous conduct. A disbelieving son, by his choice, had severed that sacred bond. Nuh, upon hearing this divine correction, immediately understood. He was jolted back from his emotional plea to the higher reality of faith and divine wisdom. He instantly submitted, showing the true meaning of being a servant of God. He said, "My Lord, I seek refuge in you from asking you for that of which I have no knowledge. And unless you forgive me and have mercy upon me, I will be among the losers." He sought forgiveness for his momentary lapse, acknowledging that Allah's judgment is perfect and his knowledge is complete. The floodwaters continued to rage, purifying the earth of every last trace of the disbelieving nation. Every human and animal that had disbelieved was eradicated. The earth was cleansed. A new covenant and the eternal legacy. After the earth had swallowed the water and the divine command caused the rain to cease, the ark came to rest. The Quran identifies this resting place as Al-Jadi, a name traditionally associated with a mountain in the region of modern-day Turkey. The command came from Allah, "O Nas, disembark in peace from us, and with blessings upon you and upon nations from those who are with you. But other nations we will grant enjoyment for a time, then there will touch them from us a painful punishment." Nas, the believers,
and the pairs of animals disembarked onto a clean, purified earth. They were the inheritors. From the loins of those few believers on the ark would spring forth all of the subsequent nations of the earth. Humanity was given a second chance, a new beginning founded on the legacy of Nuh.
The story of Prophet Nuh is not an ancient myth, it is a reality, confirmed by Allah in the Quran and told to us as a source of reflection and warning. The lessons are multitudinous and eternal. It teaches us the true meaning of patience, not patience for a day, a year, or a decade, but patience for a lifetime and beyond, in the face of relentless adversity. It defines the methodology of dawah: to call with wisdom, to be public and private, to use logical arguments, to remain gentle, and to never compromise on the core message of Nuh. It shows us that the success of dawah is not measured by the number of converts, but by the faithfulness of the caller in delivering the message. Nuh preached for 950 years and only gathered a handful of believers, yet he is considered one of the greatest successes in history. It establishes that salvation is only through faith and obedience to Allah. The ark is the symbol of Islam itself. Whoever boards it by believing in Allah and following His commands will be saved from destruction. Whoever turns away, even if they are the son of a prophet, will be lost. It is a severe warning against blind following of tradition, arrogance, and mocking the signs of Allah. The fate of the people of Nuh is the ultimate example of divine punishment for those who persist in disbelief. And finally, it reminds us that true bonds are bonds of faith, not just blood. The most important connection we have is our shared belief in the oneness of God. The call of Nuh echoes through the centuries, reaching each and every one of us today. O my people, worship Allah. You have no other God besides Him. The choice we make in response to that call defines our destiny in this world and the next.